The Arif, the Gnostic, is one who keeps his thought perpetually turned towards the realm of divinity, so that the light of the real, that is God, shines in his kernel. That means, an Arif is somebody who is higher. Now, a person may say, that means that an Arif is not, it doesn't abandon the world. Does it mean that an Arif does not worship? No, it's not like that. He further clarifies. He says we have 4 variable situations. Listen to this carefully. 4 variable situations. One is, and one who is an Arif is necessarily a Zahid and an Abid. So whosoever is a Gnostic, you will find that he is very worshipful and he abandons the world. Now, when we talk about abandoning the world, we are not talking of, not having the world with a person. You see, there is a difference between Zuhd and asceticism. Although I translated that as asceticism, the way Shams Inati has translated, but I would like to tell you that there is a subtle meaning of what Zuhd is. Zuhd is detachment. That means even if you have the kingdom of Solomon with you, all right, you have all this at your disposal, but you are detached from the world. Tomorrow, if everything is burnt, you are still happy. You are still smiling. Why? Because you are not attached to this. You have a very good, for example, house. It gets burnt down. You don't have money to pay for a new house. You want to rent somewhere else. You say, no problem, alhamdulillah. This is an Arif. He is detached. Not that he doesn't have. He might have so much. That's why you find that Nabi Sulaiman salamullah alayhi in the Holy Quran, he said, oh Allah, give me a kingdom that you haven't given anybody. And he got the kingdom. He could control many situations, the jinns and the flying carpet. All this is not only in cartoons, it's a reality. The cartoons got it from such realities. So all these things were there, right? With Allah's permission, he could do all this. But at the same time, when he goes and sees ants coming, he's so humble and he makes sure that he doesn't trample over that ant. Although the ants quickly tell the fellow ants, get inside your places, because Suleiman and his army men are coming. But Suleiman comes and tells him that, don't think I don't know this. I know you are there, and I cannot do that out of injustice. From here you come to realize that, you see, an Arif is a person who is detached. This is what is Zuhd, all right? And another thing is that he is necessarily a person who is obedient and who is worshipful. The second variable is an Abid who is a Zahid but not an Arif. This can be seen in many places, that you'll find that a person abandons the world and he is not detached from the world. The difference between an Arif being a Zahid and Abid and a non-Arif being a Zahid and Abid is different. That's what is a subtlety that Ibn Sina mentions, which is worthy of contemplation. So we'll go to be an Abid who is a Zahid but not an Arif. That means he is worshipful. Why does he worship? Because he's making a transaction with God. He says, if I worship and do these supererogatory prayers, then in Jannah or in paradise I'm going to earn this. And God will give me this. And God will give me these pleasures. That is why he is worshipping. A Zahid, he is abandoning the world because he is told, if you abandon the world, then you will get good palaces over there. That is why he is abandoning. Alright? So, a person who is non-Arif can be both or can be one. An Abid who is neither a Zahid nor an Arif. That is the third variable. And the fourth variable is a Zahid who is neither an Abid nor an Arif. Now, I know I have used Arabic words, but then, is it clear for you, Abid and Zahid, as I mentioned? All right. We continue. In one of his chapters, that is chapter 2, class 9, he mentions and he says that az-zuhd, that is that asceticism, that's why I told you zahid is different from that zuhd in an arif. He says asceticism, according to one who is not an arif or who is not a Gnostic, is a transaction. It is as if he purchases the goods of the hereafter for the goods of this world. With regard to the sincerity of an abid, he says, and worship according to one who is not a Gnostic is a transaction. So, zuhud is a transaction and ibadat is a transaction. Both of these things are transactions for people who are not Gnostics, all right? Who stay away from the pleasures of the world and who are worshipful. But all this is a transaction. It's like, you are doing a transaction with God. Oh Allah, you will give me this, I will do this. I am doing this so that you will give this. This is how it is. Now, with regard to the zuhud of an arif, person who is a Gnostic now, and asceticism or zuhud according to a Gnostic is detachment from what occupies his kernel from God, and an elevation over everything other than the truth. This is what it is. So whatever preoccupies him from God, he stays away. Why? Because his aim is God. His aim is not the pleasures that he's going to have in the hereafter. He's not doing a transaction with God the way a zahid and an abid who are not an arif do. All these are people who are doing transactions, but when it comes to an arif, he doesn't do any kind of transaction. He doesn't have a transaction. He says, I want God. I want to reach the truth. I want to attain that level of proximity to Allah. And anything that preoccupies my heart, I will stay away from it. So you find that, again, this detachment and abandonment of the world is because of not reaching God, is because he is preoccupied from God. This is the difference. Even with regard to worship, it is similar. He says, and worship according to the Gnostic is to discipline his aspirations and the faculties of estimation and imagination, to drag it through habituation from the side of the deceiver, that is shaitan, to the side of the truth, who is God. What does this mean? This is an expression that has a deeper meaning. It's important for us to know what this expression means. What he is trying to say is that with regard to an arif, a Gnostic, when he does ibadat, when he worships God, it is as if he is trying to make his soul in the state of equilibrium. He wants to make his soul stable. You see, we have the faculties of imagination and estimation. Faculty of imagination brings the pictures of what you see outside in the material world. And the faculty of estimation brings the pictures of the meanings that you comprehend. The meaning of love, the meaning of hatred, the meaning of all these things. It comes in the faculty of estimation. Now these two faculties are mostly in a very bad state with regard to the common man. Why? They are like mouths, We have a mouth we use for eating, isn't it? We know that we should eat this, we should not eat that. We are very careful. This faculty of estimation and imagination is like a mouth that eats the pictures that you see, the sentiments that you comprehend or you listen to. So it's as if you get all this information, and that is why it's very important for us to realize that any kind of television program that we look, any picture that comes in our mind, any place that we pass by is so important for the future of our lives. Why? Because that comes inside our mind, and it has been scientifically proven that whatever comes in your mind cannot be erased. Yes, you can forget it, but it cannot be erased. Even intellectually, there is that principle of the unity of the one who intellects or who uses his intelligence, and that intellectual concept itself, there is that unity which is known as ittihadul aqil and ma'qul. So whatever you see, whatever comes in your mind will stay there. And that is why you will find some people when they are concentrating in prayer, the Saturn comes with the same pictures that he had put in his mind while he was looking at the television, or when he had gone to a certain place and he saw a scenario which is haram, it is not allowed for a person to see. He saw that and it came in his mind. Now Shaitan, because Saturn, we believe, can only come in these two faculties. It can't go beyond those two faculties. It can't come to the faculty of intellect. So because of that, you find that the person, when he is thinking, he will always either use the intellect or he will use what is there in these two realms of estimation and imagination. So it is very important for us to know that, when we are trying to discipline our soul through worship, we are making it in such a way that all our faculties are used under the intellect. That is the purpose of worship. Because you see, when we are worshipping, although it is not like a physical kind of exercise that, if you do the exercise, then you can get into a certain level of physical fitness. If you don't do, so it's like a means. No, it's not a means of the way a physical exercise is. It's not like you're saying, let's go and do yoga and you'll reach up to a certain level. It's not like that. It is a meaningful experience that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders the human beings to perform, and when they do that, their soul is disciplined in such a way that they can come to a realization of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of God. Alright? So this is the purpose of worship for a person who is an arif, who is a Gnostic. The purpose is not a kind of transaction. Now, it's very important to the urafa, to those people who are sailing in the higher levels. They believe that anybody who worships for gaining the hereafter or in fear of hellfire doesn't worship God because he deserves to be worshipped. Alright? He worships God because of fear, like bondsmen. Or he worships God because he wants some advantage, like people who make transactions, like businessmen. So, they believe that these people don't have sincerity. They are actually polytheists because they love God and other than God. Why other than God? The material entities that they will get in the higher realm. Obviously, it would be not purely material, supra-material, something which is higher and which is more lasting, but then it is still base. The Arif aspires for God himself. He says, you are my beloved. Whatever I'm going to do is to reach you. So, if there is this worship, I'm going to worship, discipline my soul to come to you. If I abandon the things and detach myself from these petty things of the world, or even from things which are necessary, but that will make you that will make me near to you, I'm going to do it because I want you. So there is a difference between the perspective of a zahid and an abid who is not an arif, and the perspective of an arif who is necessarily a zahid and an abid, right, with noble purposes. I have time. Yeah. I also would like to you to pay attention to this comment mentioned by Sheikh Tusi, the one who wrote a commentary on this work of Ibn Sina. I've tried to translate this. Let's pay attention, and if there is any comment, I'm going to mention it. The seeker of a thing begins with turning away from that which he believes will distance him from his goal, and then inclines to what he believes will make him close to it, and finally ends with its achievement. It's a very logical way of describing it. If you want to go to something, then you will turn away from anything that turns you away from that thing, and you will incline towards that thing, isn't it? It's a natural phenomenon. Hence, it is incumbent on the seeker of the truth in the beginning to turn away from other than the truth. Here, the truth is not the truth that we are talking about, it's God. When we say the truth here in the language of Ibn Sina. Hence, it is incumbent on the seeker of the truth, that is God, in the beginning to turn away from other than the truth, that is, other than God, especially that which occupies him from seeking God, such as the delights of the world and its pleasant things. And this is what is the meaning of zuhd. So turning away from what will hamper you from God is zuhd. You are abandoning it. You are turning away from it. You are detaching yourself from it. And thereafter inclines to what it believes will make him close to the truth. And that is the ibadah that you are doing, the supererogatory worship that you are doing, and you are going closer to God. Which in the opinion of the scholars are specific actions known as the acts of worship. And then he says, and these two elements, turning away and inclination, are zuhd and ibadat, according to one consideration, and at-tabarri and at-tawalli according to another. That means, actually, at-tabarri means to detach yourself from something, and at-tawalli means to get near to something. So as you are detaching yourself from other than God, you are coming near to God. This is the logical exposition that Sheikh Tusi mentioned, which I thought is very important for us over here. A very important discussion that Sheikh Abu Ali Sina brings in his work Al-Isharat wa Tanbihat is about the ultimate goal of the Arif. In chapter 5, he says, the Gnostic or the Arif seeks the primary truth not for anything other than himself, and prefers nothing over knowing him. And he worships him alone because he deserves to be worshipped, and not because of worship, not because worship is a lofty relation, and because worship is a lofty relation to him, not due to desire or fear. And if desire or fear were present, the desired object or the feared object would be the motive and the object of the search. The truth, that is God, then would not be the goal, but a means to something other than him, which would be the goal and object sought to the exclusion of the truth. Here I just want to make a comment. It's very important that many of us, in any religion we are, if we think deep, we will find that many of us worship God for the advantages we want, not because we want him. There's a very beautiful verse of the Holy Quran where Allah says, Ud'uni astajib lakum. Call me, I'll respond to you. Many people say that, but we are calling God for so long, he's not responded to us as yet. Because we are not calling him for himself. We are calling him for our desires, mundane desires. So here, Ud'uni, one of the very subtle interpretations is that call me, talk to me, whisper to me, engage in that secret conversation with me, and I will respond. Many of us, we have the mindset of this, that when we want to go, we would like to. Obviously, this is not something that is for you. I'm talking about myself also. Everybody is there. The common man. I'm talking about a common man who has not realized that the goal, the ultimate goal is God. Again in chapter 20, now this is a very beautiful statement that he mentions. In chapter 20, in the 9th class, he says, Man athara al-irfan lil-irfan faqad kala bithani. He who prefers irfan for the sake of irfan, that means, just to enjoy the sublime states, the beautiful lights, the experiences that an Arif has, just for that, he is a polytheist. He's not a monotheist. He doesn't believe in one God. He believes in two. Because he also likes this. He likes God and he likes to experience these states. So, this is a very subtle point that he mentions. So, even those who are Arifs, who want to go to the path of Irfan, should be very careful. Should not say, okay, now I'm going to this path. Ultimately, I will reach. No, you might not reach. Because you yourself are not sincere as yet. You want irfan for the sake of irfan. Want irfan for the sake of Allah. Dissolve. Make irfan a mirror. We don't look at the mirror the way it is and the glass it has. We look at what is there in the mirror, isn't it? We want the reflection. That is what should be the purpose. So this is a very beautiful statement that he mentions. He says, he who prefers gnosis for the sake of gnosis has professed a second deity, that is, two gods. And he who attains gnosis in a manner that he does not perceive it, but rather perceives the object of knowledge. That means that he is not bothered of the states. He is bothered of being with God. He is bothered of knowing God. That's what it is. Not that what he feels when he is knowing and how beautiful it feels and the sublime lights and so on. Which is the known, has indeed plunged into the clamor of the arrival. Right?
Can you repeat the second woman word that
And he who attains gnosis in a manner that he does not perceive it, okay, but rather perceives the object of knowledge, and that is God himself, the known. Right? Sometimes, you are looking at your perception in your mind. I give you an example, all right? Conceptually. You are sometimes looking at your perception in the mind, and that is your concentration. Sometimes you are just looking at the knowledge itself, and that is God. All right? So an arif who also comprehends this through his heart, sometimes he's happy with the states that he has, and sometimes he's happy with God, because that is the most important person, not his states. All right? This is what he would like to mention. Is it clear? Okay. Has indeed plunged into the clamor of arrival. Here, Ibn Sina says that one who comes to this level has arrived to his destination, because he is not happy with, he doesn't see himself there. Actually, this ego is blotted out completely. That's why a person even doesn't see, the way we say, I went there. That is why one of the very beautiful historical incidents that Allama Tabatabai mentioned in the Holy Quran is this. He says that when Joseph was attacked by Zuleikha, all right, and she ripped off his shirt from the back. Before that, when she said, Hey talak, that means I order you to come. Because Hey talak means I order you to come. Why? Because you are a slave. I gave you good place. I gave you everything. Hey talak. Here Allama Tabatabai says, Nabi Yusuf did not say, Inni a'udhu bir-Rahman. He says, Ma'adallah. He said he even did not see himself. He was plunged in that ecstasy of God, such that, he was not seeing here. That's why he didn't say, Inni a'udhu billah. He didn't use that first person pronoun or the first person that refers to that I. There was no I at all. That's why Ma'adallah means that the shelter is God. He said, verily the shelter is God, the place of shelter. Not that I seek shelter with God. This is a very beautiful subtlety that Allama Tabatabai mentions with regard to Prophet Yusuf. So it is important for us to know that, with regard to Irfan, we should seek Allah, not seek that experience. And that is why some people get very easily deceived when they are told, this is a master of Irfan. And that master gives him some zikr, some recitations. And he does those recitations, and then he sees things which are very surprising. He sees some extraordinary things, and he likes it. He says, wow, I've become an arif. I can see. He doesn't know that arif and irfan is not all about that. This can happen in, many people have seen, those who don't believe in God also are known to have seen things which are beyond this material world, just because of practicing some disciplinary matters which any other person can practice. Now I would like to know my time. I have, okay. Now we come to the beginnings. That is, now we are beginning the spiritual path. Alright, this is the beginning of the spiritual path that has been propounded by Ibn Sina. He says that the first station of the movements of the Gnostics is what they call resolution. And this is the desire that overtakes the Gnostic. You see, resolution is very important. It's not like I'm deciding now to go to God. I can do that, isn't it? I can say, I'm deciding to go to God and I'm going to practice. No, that's not how it happens. There is a spark that comes in your heart. It pulls you. It takes you. That is when you start. The resolution is that spark that comes in your heart and you are pulled. All right? So this is the desire that overtakes. That's why the beautiful way of, the way he has, the words that he has used are so accurate. He says, وَهُوَ مَا يَعْتَرِ الْمُسْتَبْصِرِ. يَعْتَرِ means one who, takes, he overtakes the mustabsir. One who engulfs, encompasses, takes him, attracts him, all right? He overtakes, all right? So this is the desire that overtakes the Gnostic through demonstrative conviction or tranquility of the soul in the knot of faith, to cling to the firmest handle so that his kernel moves towards sacredness and attains the spirit of union. Let me give you the gist of what Ibn Sina would like to say here. See, in order to begin the journey, you must have conviction about God and religion. You must have conviction. This conviction can be attained in different ways. He has mentioned two ways of conviction. One is through demonstrative proof, the way we have scholars who give demonstrative proof that God exists, and then there is a necessity of prophethood and so on. All right? This is one way. The other way is that you follow your father. Your father is a nice man. You like the religion, you follow it, and you believe in it. You look at the common man, you go to the society, you tell him, are you a Christian? He says, yes, I'm a Christian. You believe in Christianity? Yes, I believe in Christianity. 100%. You have conviction that it is right? Yes, I have conviction that it is right. Now this conviction was not gained through any kind of knowledge. It was just gained through a kind of contentment and tranquility that the person got from the father, because he considers the father to take the right decision. While this is not the way of coming to the truth. Of course, the way is through demonstration and the right ways of conviction. You can't just say, because this person was my father and he followed Islam, Islam is right. Or he followed Christianity, Christianity is right. No. You have to search. But you will find most of the people, because they can't come and study in the seminars and in the places where, in schools, in madrasas, in places of religious institutes in general, they can't come and study. You'll find that, but they have iman, they have faith, they have strong faith. Why? Because they have contentment in what their parents have said. That doesn't mean that they will not go to paradise and God will not accept from them. No. But they are weaklings. They can't guide other people. If another person comes and says, but this religion of yours is not correct because of ABC, he would say, no, you go to our elder or scholar and talk to him. I can't answer, because he can't really. But he has conviction. So he says that if a person attains one of these two, and because of attaining this is when he can get the spark. But one who doesn't believe in God doesn't have that ultimate endeavor, because your ultimate endeavor